This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. I'm Roger Stone. This is the Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network. Joining us now, Barry Habib. He is the Chief Executive Officer of MBS Highway, but more importantly, he is, I think, one of the country's leading experts on mortgages and housing, as well as a very shrewd economic analyst. In fact, I can honestly say everything Barry Habib has ever predicted to me has come to pass. Author also of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, Money in the Streets. Barry Habib and I believe his son join us now to talk about the Biden-Harris administration's latest job numbers. Barry, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
It's always a pleasure to be with you. Yeah, and I brought my secret weapon. Dan is absolutely brilliant, and we collaborate on breaking down a lot of the data. So thanks for being with me on this, Dan.
So lay it on us, my brother.
Okay, so we did get the jobs report, which was a very, on the appearance, a very strong job number. So the market was looking for 254,000 jobs to be created. And I'm sorry, 150,000. And we got 254,000. That seemed like, wow, that was really good. And then the unemployment rate miraculously dropped from 4.2% to 4.1%. Is everything so great in the marketplace? Well, that's why we have to dig deeper, because when we analyze this, we say this just doesn't jive with what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of layoffs in manufacturing. We're seeing a lot of slowness. We're seeing much more increase in the amount of planned layoffs. We're seeing that when we see job postings, they're decreasing. So it was truly, for Dan and myself, it was a head scratcher. And what we really needed to do is, as we do with every report, just dig deep into the numbers. Now, there's two reports. One is the household survey, where you get the unemployment rate, and the other is where you get the business survey. And this has been very flawed. Remember, Roger, we talked about this just not too long ago. We mentioned that these numbers didn't seem right. And sure enough, 40% of the jobs that they said were created last year never really happened. They were phantoms. So they kind of went back and said, oops, we made a mistake here. So look, don't want to beat up too bad on the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, because it's a Herculean effort to do this every month, and they do a lot of modeling, which can be flawed, but the markets trade on this. And this is a really critical report because this is essentially right before people are going to go to the voting booth and they'd like to see what the economy looks like. So this, on its surface, appears to be quite the strong jobs report. Well, it also helps the stock market. And the stock market has done very well, thinking the economy is good. And that's psychological for a lot of people saying, hey, the stock market's doing good. I feel good. Now, digging deeper on the numbers. The household survey, where you get the unemployment report, they also say how many jobs are created. And wow, Dan, you know the number. I think it was 414,000, yes?
430,000 was the adjusted number. And, you know, something that's always very important with these reports is something called seasonal adjustments. And that's where the BLS...
Before we do, I want to talk about where those jobs came from of those 430,000 jobs. Roger, you had 231,000 of them. Of the 430, 231 were 16 to 19-year-olds. I just wanted to point that out. So those 16 to 19-year-olds, these are not your high-income earners. And by the way, do you not think it's a bit odd that in September, where this report is for, the most of those kids go back to school? Are they all dropping out and working at McDonald's? This is crazy that you would see such an enormous increase here. And perhaps some of it, Dan, I just wanted to preface it, is what you're about to talk about with the seasonal adjustments.
Yeah, so the BLS seasonally adjusted numbers to smooth it out and to really give you the true story if we're seeing strong or weak job creations, because it makes perfect sense if you think about it, where, hey, in the fall, you have teachers go back to school, and they try to remove that seasonal hiring because, hey, is this really a strong September, or is this just naturally what we see as teachers go back to work? So they always take September.
And by the way, Dan, conversely, in June when the teachers go away or other seasonal employees, we're just using this as an example, it's not that the economy is so bad that we lost all these jobs. This happens every June. They kind of go away. They stop their employment at that point in time and then go back in the fall. So like Dan said, it smooths out so you don't think the economy is on this roller coaster. These are normal things that happen seasonally, and that's why the seasonal adjustments make sense to use.
Right. And the seasonal adjustment in this report was the most generous that we've seen in about 48 years. What that means is that historically you see around a 75, 79% downward seasonal adjustment to account for those teachers going back to work. In this report, it was only a 38% seasonal adjustment. So it doesn't jive with anything we've seen historically and had a huge impact on the job creations number. And, of course, that impacts the unemployment rate.
All right, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. I appreciate Barry and Dan Habib jumping in to tell us why the latest job numbers from the Harris-Biden administration, as I like to call it, are bunk, politically manipulated for the next election. Guys, thanks for joining us. Up next, Gordon Chang, who is an American lawyer, author, and political commentator, widely recognized on an expert on China and U.S.-China relations. So you're not going to want to miss that. Stick with us here on The Roger Stone Show, and we'll be right back.